Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 4 versus 4 on railway, and I'm going to be playing with the 7th Panzer Division. So this map is the newest map that was added to WARNO. There is a new map coming out soon though called Stoneware. So I thought I'd get around to showing off railway because railway is really cool. It is separated by this massive rail line down the center of the map with a huge rail yard in the center where there's a lot of cars, rail cars that kind of block line of sight. There are also movement blockers, so you can't drive through them, you can't put infantry through them, you have to go around, and it creates this sort of maze with really sort of interesting line of sight that you really have to pay attention to in this map. And the way that you can sort of control the rail yard is by also controlling these buildings on the outskirts. The industrial buildings that you can enter here give you really good line of sight down the middle of the rail cars. So really important that you control the buildings and then also be able to push through the center using the line of sight to your advantage. Let's have a quick look at what I'm getting down. We've got a couple of Spezialaufkleider. I've got the MI2, we've got a BMP-1 with the Mod Aufkleider. Further back, I've got an MI-24P. We've got a leader moving up early on. We've got the Igler, a T-72 M1 and a Shilka with the T-813 munition truck. I've got a couple extra T-72 M1s back here and another Shilka that are struggling to get out of the spawn, but on they go. Brigade going to be coming in with his Tornado F3 early on. Not good news for my helicopters as they advance to the front line. As soon as I see this, I should be landing my helicopters because that's exactly what's going to happen there as the Tornado F3 comes through and shoots down my Mi-24 easy peasy. Doesn't quite manage to get Warm Conehead's Mi-8T, which allows the Luftsturmjäger to stay alive a little while longer. But a good start for Brigade there, as I was planning to use the Mi-24P with the Mi-2 to shut down some of my opponent's forces. But the Spezialaufkleider, they're going to be getting into these buildings I was talking about. So I'm going to be putting one in here, and that's going to allow me to see down the center of all of these rail cars. And then we're going to be placing one on the right hand side, which will also give us line of sight up this road so that we can potentially see any enemy forces coming towards us there. Mi-2 did land so that it wouldn't get shot down by the tornado because it sort of flew off and we didn't see it evac. So it could have just been floating around on the back side. Regardless, Eli is going to be our opponent today instead of Brigade, which is what I thought originally when I first saw that tornado come in. Turns out that Eli, with his 11th Armoured Cavalry, is going to be putting the pain on us, as my Spezialaufkleider do a runner from that engagement as the M1A1A Cav and the Bradley managed to take out the truck that unloaded them. SPW-40P2 going to be using the rail cars here to hide on the railway, which is pretty cool. And on the left hand side, Eli pushing again with the M3A2 Bradley and the M1A1A Cav. And they're going to spot my Mod Aufkleider in that building, so I'm going to have to bring them out. And what I'm going to do is just put them onto their no cover so they don't jump back into the building automatically. When you can go to this little cog in the bottom right, it pops up rules of engagement. And there's this thing called auto cover, and you can turn it off. The Spezialaufkleider here, they're actually going to bump into a couple of M113 Dragons. I'm going to be able to get the RPG-18 on target. We take out one M113, we're going to take out a second M113. The mech rifles Dragon will be hit by the T-72 M1 briefly as well, absolutely crushing their cohesion, allowing the Spezialaufkleider to do a lot of damage there. PVADs going to be able to rip my Spezialaufkleider in the open. Recently they made it so that AA units no longer have a malus which halves their damage against infantry. So they now do full damage against infantry, and you can see it made short work of that Spezialaufkleider. I'm just dropping smoke here and then popping through the smoke in order to try and get the kill onto the M3A2 Bradley, which we brought down to 1 health. Killing either of these would be fantastic, and the way that we're going to win this engagement in the long run with the 7th Panzer is just making sure that we stay ahead on numbers when it comes to enemy tanks. So if he has as many M1A1s as I have T-72 M1s, then I'm in a really, really bad spot because his tanks are going to be a lot better than mine. 290 points for that M1A1 ACAV, 160 for my T-72 M1, which does mean that I can amass more than him over time. But in situations like this, where he's got the 2v1, well, my T-72 is having a real bad time. And a really nice flank there from Eli allows him to secure that kill on the top, when my T-72 M1 there with low cohesion was just constantly missing those shots. So Specjalsavkada were hiding. They're going to jump back in at the last moment, take out another Humvee with infantry inside. Now going to be engaging the mechanized rifles at close range, where they will have a huge advantage due to the AKS-74U, their shock trait, and the special forces trait. The mechanized rifles of Dragon don't have any of those traits, so the Specjalsavkada huge advantage, yeah. And they're going to just be wiping out that unit nice and easy. I've got the T-813 hugging up behind these rail cars to repair the T-72 M1 further up. On the left-hand side, I was forced out with the Motor from this position, so they're going to be falling back to this tree line to try and hide there instead. And all the while, I'm just going to be trying to amass more forces on the front line. So I've got more T-72s on the way. You can see I've got 2 more coming in on the backside there. We've got 3 T-72s here and the T-72 M1. Now you do need to be careful with the standard T-72 because they don't come with smoke launchers, whereas the T-72 M1 variant does. And that can get you caught out quite a lot, because it is very easy in WARNO to get to the point where you become quite reliant on the smoke that the vehicles have. And when a unit then doesn't have smoke, it really throws you off. Anyway, double curb, a staple of mine. I bring these in at 1 veterancy. And then with a leader nearby, you can make them 2 vet very easily, and then that increases their accuracy quite substantially to 55%, allowing them to really rip enemy aircraft out the sky. Wooden box provided me with some grad support in the center, which is very nice. On a 4v4, this map's kind of interesting because you have 3 distinct lanes. You've got like 1 lane on the right here, 1 lane on the left, and 1 lane up the middle. So the 4th player kind of has sort of agency to kind of switch to different parts of the map, and currently Wooden Box is kind of slipped in between myself and Warm Conehead here on the right hand side, and then is providing artillery support on the back. Going to be using a BRDM-2U as well to help those grads reload quicker. So Specjalsavkada here still holding exceptionally well. The dismount troopers trying to get close with those M249s. That is a lot of machine guns, but they're struggling out in the open because they have no cover. And so their cohesion's getting dropped very quickly. The accuracy therefore fails, and the SVD was just chipping them nicely, and the Motorradvedka going to get some good shots on target until that M1A1 gets involved. So the T-72s have arrived on the front line, and the best thing that I can do in this situation is sort of amass enough T-72s that we can overwhelm the M1A1s. I was just talking earlier about how it's really important that we stay ahead in numbers when it comes to the tank engagements, and so far I haven't really been able to continue that. So I'm kind of just waiting a little while so that we do get ahead again, because my tanks are cheaper, which means I can bring in like 2 every time he's going to be bringing in 1 sort of thing. And over time that will increase, unless I of course run out of T-72s, which is unlikely with this deck. Anyway, Eli's going to be coming in with more Humvees on this road and trying to put more pressure onto the Motorradvedka, this time with the cover of the M1A1 Abrams. So just looking to get into this building. Specjalsavkada just chilling, waiting for that engagement as well. Although ideally I shouldn't really be engaging with the SVD, although in this situation I don't actually think that the dismount troopers can see that Specjalsavkada straight away, but will over time as it continues to fire. So F-16 now coming in from Eli as well. Going to be swinging around. Almost hits the T-72 M1, but the Cubs get the job done. Knock that out of the sky with the help of the OSA here. Job done. Specjalsavkada eventually going to go down to the 12 M249s that those dismount troopers have between them. But it's a good opportunity for me to maybe pounce on one of the M1A1 Abrams. So we're currently shifting up with my two T-72 M1s, which I'm going to be keeping in cover on the left-hand side, and then these T-72s that can kind of push out more aggressively and just try and hit the dismount troopers. Ideally, I would do this the other way around because the T-72 M1s have smoke, but because I care less about the T-72s dying than the T-72 M1s, that's why I'm going to be using them a lot more sacrificially here. Now, dismount troopers, due to their low cohesion, struggling to actually get their shots on target. And when they do, and the T-72s are showing front armor, they're not going to be doing that much damage, so that's okay. However, these dismount troopers that have mounted or have amassed in this building are also able to get their AT-4s on target, so that was causing me a little bit of problems, especially in regards to the T-72 M1s, because AT infantry, when it hits a tank, does a lot of cohesion damage. So you can see both of these T-72 M1s are now on low cohesion just because they've taken like a couple of AT-4 shots. And realistically, makes sense. But in practice, it can be kind of frustrating when you're trying to deal with enemy tanks at the same time, because the enemy infantry is just hitting you with an AT launcher that's not doing any damage, and then you lose all your cohesion, and then the M1A1 ACABs here that are perfectly good on cohesion can just smack you around. So, nice kill on the M382 Bradley, but there's now a Jaguar behind the M1A1, which is a problem, and these Jaguars here also going to be causing me issues. Really, really nice combination from Eli, using the M1A1 with the Jaguar 2s, because the T-72s will automatically target the tank and not the launchers here, the TOW2 Jaguars. So that allows the Jaguars to get free shots in, and that causes a really big difficulty for me. But you can see also that I was being somewhat attacked from all sides. You know, we had the M1A1 here that I was kind of initially going for. Then we had the Jaguars attacking us from the top side. And then we also had the M1A1 on the left, so pushing out of this position was always going to be somewhat of a bad idea. EMP-1 not able to keep itself alive, unfortunately, as the M1A1 takes that out. More recon has been brought up, but not moved to the front line yet. And you'll notice throughout this game that recon, after like the initial phases of this game, is something that I'm incredibly lacking. It's like a classic old school Vulcan game where advance onto contact with mass amounts of troops is really going to be the way forwards. So look forward to that. But the Specials Afghan dying on this right hand side and on the left hand side really kind of left me in a position where I didn't have any recon, and then I didn't really replace it properly. You know, I just got this UAZ KBB back here, for example, with the Afghana still mounted. I've got a couple of BMP ones with mod Afghana on the way as well, but they're not at the front just yet, making it very difficult for me to see what we're up against. So T-72s that are damaged, I've just been slowly falling them back, and you can see that I'm bringing them back to the same position so that I can use one T-813 to just fix them up. I've got an Su-22 ready to help us out as well, potentially. And on the backside, I have brought in a couple of these RM-70s that I can use for rocket artillery fire. The idea would be with these RM-70s to engage with those rockets and then follow up with the tanks afterwards, because you want these M1A1s to be on low cohesion due to that artillery, and then let the T-72s get the kill shots. It's kind of how it works. So this M1A1 going to be backing up on the right hand side, the BMP-2 and the T-72 working together to take that one out. Nice kill from the T-72 there. Really important that I do finish off those Abrams when I get the chance, because as I keep mentioning, it's all about the numbers when it comes to these sorts of tanks. Like the T-72 is the pinnacle of you need a numbers advantage in this game. I guess maybe you could argue that the T-55 is, but because the T-55 isn't as prevalent in the game as a whole, the T-72s in the 7th, super important. Now with my mod Afghana actually moving forwards here, you can see that we do get eyes onto the Führungs. So that's going to be showing us where they are helping cap this center sector, because it is currently contested at the moment. We did manage to get 319 points. They have 224. The middle is basically what's holding that even at the moment. Grim Guy's going to be coming in with the MiG-27. Does manage to take it out. Kind of dives for that. And that will allow us to capture the center of the map for the time being, allowing us to increase our lead. I'm not entirely sure that a MiG-27 AT would be worth that kill when you could just arty it, but either way, it gets the job done. And meanwhile, I'm going to be throwing my RM-70 rockets straight into the Jaguar 2s here. So there's 3 Jaguar 2s hiding in the tree line, and I want to do as much damage to them as possible whilst they're all together. We managed to take out one with the rocket strike. The other 2 are going to be left on low health. This is my chance to strike, so we're going to be moving up with the T-72s to try and clean those up. So I managed to take out one, looking to try and take out the second here. However, it has backed in to cover temporarily. And the range on these T-72s is only 1,925, as you can see there with the outer white circle. So the Jaguar is actually reversing away, and my T-72s are struggling to get into range. But I don't want to overextend, because we do see Eli's Marder 1A3 Milans coming in from the left side, and they could easily start firing at us with HGMs. Also, Eli's M1A1 Abrams that was damaged in the forest here. My completely fine cohesion T-72 manages to miss that shot with 60% accuracy, and so the M1A1 Abrams doesn't go down, and instead we take a shot. Not ideal. Motaufkader currently managing to hold in quite a nice position here, but as soon as the M1A3s get too close, that's going to be bad news for those Motaufkader. But since all of these tanks on the backside have been fixed up, we're going to be moving them forwards, and the Cubs are also moving up here, actually able to get a good hit there onto the Wild Weasel on the left hand side. Wooden Box also going to be bringing up his own tanks on the backside. Got a couple of T-80 BV here. I've also got the South Cutter on the right hand side here. T-72 M1 currently trying to engage the M1A1 Abrams and the M3A2 ACAB, but you can see how little damage the T-72 M1 does to that tank in the front armor, so going to be forced to back away from that, and that's again where numbers comes into play. So the reason numbers is so important is not just because you are overwhelming the enemy with numbers, but also because it allows you to break down their cohesion a lot better, even if you're not doing much damage. So that's basically how the mechanic works. Joker there actually managed to finish off an F-16, which is really, really nice. We got the Recon OA-37Bs coming in on this right-hand side, interestingly enough. Sorry, left-hand side. Putting some smoke down, dealing some damage to the enemy infantry. Interesting little rocket strike. Gibbs firing away once again. How cool does that look as the aircraft gets shot down and smashes into the rail yard? Very, very awesome indeed. Now I am going to be watching some grad shots come over to this right hand side. I did support this as well myself later on, I believe, with my own RM70s, which is why I got a little bit confused there. But that's Wooden Box's grads putting fire onto the backside of this sector as Silhouette does make a strong push into Warm Conehead on that right hand side. A couple of AH-1F Sea Knights in the meantime do press the attack in the center, but bump into my Shilka and the Cubs, so make short work of those. Eli trying to really put the pressure onto this tree line. Now this tree line is super important in this map, and usually blue side would get there first and be able to secure this area, which makes it very, very difficult for red side to contest, because this is a really nice amount of cover that you can use for your tanks basically, and you could just keep a leader here or wherever else you wanted to. So it's not about where you place your leader, it's all about just having a good defensive position for your units, which also gives you like sort of onus over these buildings, and then using those buildings, using these tree lines, you can kind of stop any advance to the center of the sector, and from here you can shoot in basically all directions across the rail yard, which makes it really, really difficult to put leaders anywhere except here, and then you can just RT this position once you know that. But in this case, because we have taken this position, we are very vulnerable to rocket artillery, but it's not something we've had to deal with so far, so I haven't really spread out all that much, and we're just amassing more and more T-72s to make a nice big push here once again. That's my rocket artillery firing away this time onto the corner of this sector, absolutely annihilating half of the town. I love just the smoke effects and everything in this game. Just like watching the utter destruction is immense. And that was to really soften up a lot of the infantry that had taken home in the far side of that town. So Su-22 coming in, unfortunately misses the US Roland there on the left side and does end up getting shot down. But with those pinged, that's going to be enemy AA getting taken out. I'm going to be attacking enemy AA over here, and I'm also going to be getting these RM-70s to smash this area where we also saw enemy AA. So just putting the remainder of the rockets in that position. Now after they fired, I do make sure to move them. I also pinged my teammate Grim here to make sure that he moved his grad because I just fired nearby it. And if you do end up firing next to someone else's units, do make sure to let them know because otherwise counter battery may hit them accidentally, which is not ideal. But Grim currently holding the line on the left-hand side quite effectively. We're still controlling the middle entirely, so not a huge rush in the game to make massive attacks, but Wooden Box now managing to break through quite substantially to this right-hand side because Silhouette has kind of used up his attack, pushing into Warm Conehead here. The M1A1 Abrams in a very precarious position. This one also having its cohesion taken down by the Luftsturm Jaeger with Metis. But here we go, T-72 push coming out. Bunch of infantry going to be unloaded here. Lots of mechanized rifles with dragons and the M113 dragons. So just allowing the T-72s to get their machine guns on target and try and annihilate this infantry. I'm going to use this T-72M to smoke so this M1A1 Abrams and the Marder Milan can't start engaging my T-72s here freely. But with my attack coming out of the tree line, Eli's going to be doing the same. So his dismount troopers putting pressure onto my Mod Avkara, the M1A3 Milan and the M1 Abrams just attacking my T-72s from the front right now. And there's also another M1 Abrams, well actually two Abrams, three Abrams, and a Bradley coming in from the left-hand side here. So T-72s having a bad time to say the least. That one getting side shot, then taking a front shot from the Milan. Grads from Wooden Box are going to come in to help support us here, but the T-72s having a real bad time, and admittedly I probably should have retreated a little bit sooner from this position, but I was hoping to get these T-72s into this tree line so that we could get a better sort of basis of fire onto this sector. Unfortunately the AH-1F Sea Knight is going to cause issues, but Wooden Box has something up his sleeve. It's the Su-25s, man. Some of them diving with the rockets and the AT. But Cluster and HE is going to absolutely annihilate multiple M1s and the M3A2 Bradley. Little bit of a missed micro on Eli's part, plays exactly into Wooden Box's hands, and whilst Wooden Box does lose 3 of his Su-25s, he does take out all of the M1A1 Abrams that were attacking me from the left flank, as well as that Bradley. Super important strike, and we're just going to go ahead and clean up the rest of the infantry with my remaining T-72Ms. And so what happens is basically this puts me in a position where I'm now ahead in tanks. So Eli now in a really, really bad position, having lost a lot of those pieces of armor, and he is going to throw in the towel. On the left-hand side, Brigany going to start putting in some pressure onto this sector. Started to break through Grimguy's defense on the left-hand side there. Meanwhile, I'm just continuing to allow the T-72s to fire at these engineers. This T-72M trying to engage the M1A1 Abrams. I'm happy to let that continue engaging just because the M1A1 Abrams here is really low on cohesion. But the F-111 with the napalm gonna make that in favor of the M1A1 Abrams. F-16 AT does get shot down at least. Wild Weasel coming in, looking for the shots onto the Shilka. I'm currently microing the radar on the Cubs, and the Weasel's just freely firing onto the Shilka, but I'm hoping to try and clean up the Wild Weasel there with that micro. So more T-72s have arrived on the backside, as you can see, and so we are getting ready to go once again. So RM-70s getting into position, ready to fire. Having gone back to the fob to reload. My T-813s have been working overtime on the front line, making sure these T-72s are repaired. But the AI, now in control of Eli's forces, getting very aggressive with these helicopters, and this did actually cause me some problems. It's not something you anticipate, is just having these thrown in at you like this. So my Shilka going down to the seed actually ended up causing me quite a lot of problems on the front line here. Engineers with Dragon going to be trying to push their way across the open as the T-72s move up once again. EVAD's taken out very nicely. Hawk showing itself. Unfortunately, my seed missile missed. So there go the engineers. Maybe taking out this engineer. This T-72M still alive on this right hand side in a really nice position for us, although I did just lose a T-72M to an HGM from the left hand side there. This one just here, and I can't see that because what I was talking about earlier with the recon, like after these two mod Afkara died in this game, I ended up with like no recon on the front line here, and I don't think I replaced it for the rest of the game. Pretty big mistake on my part. Now we're going to get hit by a lot of aircraft. We get hit by a laser guided bomb. We get hit by the F-16 AT. The Wild Weasels are hanging about, so I'm having to micro the Cubs here, as you can see on the backside. The way that I do this generally is I put them on a control group. So like control 1, control 2, and then you press like 1 or 2, whichever groups you put it on, and then you just press H. And H is basically hold fire. It like turns off the weapons of your units. So you can just press H and it will turn off the weapon, which turns off the radar. And it's just really handy to do that. So T-72 is getting picked off slowly but surely. Like the laser guided bomb came around again and managed to get another T-72 kill. The Cobras causing me problems, like the rockets coming in onto this T-72M, making it go low cohesion. It's reversing really slowly, so the ITO comes in and takes it out. Not ideal. But we are still sitting on that +1 overall in the game, as Wooden Box has managed to capture and secure India on the right hand side here. Warm Conehead has forced back Silhouette, and now it's just really up to Grimguy to get a leader into Foxtrot, and we're going to be sitting on not just a +1 but a +2. But still all to play for, as MiG-21 is coming in on the left hand side here with an M60 leader, threatening to help cap the center. And Avkada there going to have to jump out of that building. Nice kill onto the F-16 cluster though, as it tries to shoot down the MO-24P. These Cubs now going for the F-111 napalm. Got the last missile remaining. Unfortunately, those aren't going to hit the mark. The F-111s get out alive. Two more Shilkas are on the way. You see that I have also brought up some Su-22 clusters and the Su-24, or Su-22, sorry, seed. I didn't manage to give them targets fast enough. WARNO did though, and that absolutely obliterated multiple M60s in the rail yard. But because my Su-22s are still hanging about and the F-16s came in, well, we do manage to shoot down one of the F-16s. But I believe my Su-22 did go down. This one coming in looking for that cluster shot does get taken out. T-72 gets the job done regardless though. We take out the leader, and that's the important piece of the puzzle here, just to stop them contesting the center of the rail yard. Brad's firing away from wooden box over to the left hand side there. My RM-70 is waiting to find a decent target. All the while I'm going to be bringing up some more of my own supply to make sure that these curbs are resupplied once again, because they were using up a lot of ammo in this game. And because there are so many like Cobras hanging about, I am trying to move the Shilkers up quite aggressively to take those out. So we do manage to take out one. The quick fix not quite going down just yet. But my BMP-1s have arrived, and they're now going to be engaging with their Malyurkas. The plan was really to just use these quite aggressively and unload the infantry as far up as I could. So you can see I'm constantly changing their orders as I push forwards there. Meanwhile on the right, the H1F Cobras going for my poor T-72M that was left over. What I'm going to do is we're going to drop off a couple of these Mudschützen. They're going to be pushing across to this position, and then my SBW-40 is going to try and countercap Bravo. So I've got RM-70s coming in. They're going to be smashing this area to pieces with rocket artillery, and this area here as well. I'm just hoping that by the time that my SBW gets into position, those are going to be dead. Unfortunately for me, doesn't turn out to be the case. All of the engineer dragons don't really take much damage from that rocket strike, and the SBW does go down. A little bit of a waste on my part. I could have been a bit more patient with the SBW, allowed the Mudschützen to reveal and kill off the engineers first. Cubs firing away once again, looking to try and take down the Wild Weasel. It does end up going down, not to my AA though. OA-37 coming in with the rocket strike onto the Mudschützen, ends up getting taken out. We also see a Cub rocket land over here, or missile land over there. Those Cub missiles can kill stuff on the ground if they hit them directly. It's pretty gross. But the BMP-1 push actually still going relatively well at the moment. The T-72s, however, not in such a good position. All of my T-72s here pretty damaged. Only one fresh one over on this right hand side. So I'm now starting to amass T-55s. So we've got these T-55s coming in on the backside. Look at what they're driving into in the distance there. Absolutely spectacular. The MP1 finally manages to finish off that TOW2 Jeep. And we're looking to finish off the PVADs here as well, as we start to clean up a lot of Eli's forces. T-72M also managing to get a shot in from the side. We're still sitting on that +1 as Grim Guy has managed to re-secure the left-hand side. We're still contesting the centre nicely, and Wooden Box and Warm Cone Head have pushed out the right here as well. Just need Wooden Box to put another leader in here in order to capture that. So H1F here probably used up all of its tow missiles at this point on the back side, as both of my Shilkers died, so I didn't have them to use. And so I'm sat here with no recon and no AA with all my T-72s and BMPs out in the open. Now I do manage to at least take out one of the bombers, and we're going to take out the 0837B. But unfortunately, the leader, it died, and they managed to gather back basically immediately. So that was unfortunate. A couple of Su-22s coming in to try and take advantage of the abundance of M60s, and since they smoked, I sent the Su-22 to try and shoot down the H-1Fs of Silhouette instead, but wasn't able to get the job done as the Tornado F3 does land a missile onto my plane, so my plane's forced to retreat from that position. And as these M60s start to come in, well, Grad's going to be coming in from Grimguy to try and get some damage done, but that's going to be missing the mark because they are going to be pressing forwards quite aggressively. So since there's no more smoke, the next thing for me to do really is to bring in the airstrike of the MiG-21s. So the MiG-21s coming in with the bombing strikes now. We're actually going to be hitting them pretty hard. Unfortunately, one of them going to be going down on the way out, but a good amount of kills is going to prevent quite a lot of that aggression in the center of the map, especially because if you see me zooming out here, there's not much left. There's not much left at all. And again, mainly due to the fact that I didn't have AA, didn't have recon for like the past like 5-10 minutes. Or at least the AA that I did bring up, I didn't really use carefully enough. The T-72M going to be trying to hold the line against the remainder of the M60s. Just going to be trying to make sure that it finishes off that low health one so that it can't retreat and get fixed up. And now we're going to be going for the second one there. So MTLB's moving up into a position where the Cub can use that to reload. The T-55s are well on their way. You can see my Bell depot back here down to 100 supply out of 16,000. Wooden boxes is also completely depleted, and warm cone heads, because Wooden Box has been using his grads the entire game. I've been using my RM70s. There's plenty of artillery firing away like Grimguy's Gvozdikas here. So, yeah, supply has been used up in abundance, and I've also been reloading this cub multiple times, hoping to take that out. Great shot there by the cub, because it's been alive for so long. It's just by default elite now. The Kansai's back here almost get hit by the laser guided bombs that go astray. But yeah, fantastic job by the cub that has already shot down so many aircraft. Enough aircraft that it did get that veterancy. Because in WARNO, if you guys didn't know, over time, if your units stay alive, they can increase in veterancy, and making them more combat effective. With the SPW-40 still chilling in the middle. It's only 3 minutes left on the game. We are at the +3, but it's not going to be enough to win in time, but we will still win on conquest points regardless. The AI's come up and put a jeep into the backside of that sector. There's a lot of infantry moving up here. The only correct response is to absolutely level the area with RM70, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. And we've got multiple T-55s on the way. That is 7 T-55s ready to go. So if I can hit this nicely, then we'll be in a really good spot. So this will be hitting MiG's M60s. We'll be hitting the infantry of Eli's AI. And then the T-55s can push on through with the support of the SPW-40P2 Conkers. Huge rocket strike. The LRS trying to make it out of there. But the T-55s are rolling in to finish the job. We've also got the SPW 40P2 Conkers coming in. So pushing through the rail yard. Again, just all the smoke piles in the distance. Absolutely awesome battle here. M109 taken out on the backside there. MiG-21 trying to keep the Jeep in the corner, but with the T-55s breaking through completely. Really nothing to stop us now from continuing the push for the last 40 seconds of the game. And what a game it was. A real showing of what this map is capable of, the back and forth on both sides, and also our continuous grind with the 7th through the middle. Really, really cool map. Thoroughly enjoyed it so far. I do feel like it is a little bit unbalanced for blue side, because like blue side has the advantage of this tree line. They also have the advantage of this point and attacking into this point, and they have the cover to push into this point, and they have the cover to defend this point. But as long as you push hard and secure this side of the sector as the red side, then I think you're okay. And there it is. That's victory after the full 40 minutes. In the end, 8,910 kills to 7,070 losses. A rather Pyrrhic victory for myself. Wooden box, really good KD, but pipped him on the kills there. Kills and losses, well, the Cub, fantastic. The Specias Afghan actually here at the start was fantastic as well. But yeah, the Cub doing a great job there. A couple of the T-72s did all right. The RM-70s, good fire support throughout the game. This Cub managing to shoot down multiple aircraft as well. It really just came down to a lot of kills from RM-70, T-72 and Cubs. That was pretty much it. And then the MiG-21s kind of saved us against the M60s there. But that is it. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that intense game on Railway. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.